Welcome to Breaking Free from the Chains of Trauma and 5 steps to reclaim your life. This is going to help answer the how do I know who I am? How do I discover myself? The question of, that I hear all the time is, who am I? I don't know who I am. That is a very common statement. So today, with Breaking Free from the Chains of Trauma, we're going to go over the 5 steps to reclaim your life. And as you're doing that, it's going to also assist you in discovering who you are and at least starting that process. So again, welcome to this informing and empowering webinar. Now, we are thrilled to have you join us today to explore new ways to unlock your potential and achieve your dreams. Now, during this session, we will share valuable insights and tips to help you overcome obstacles and develop a positive mindset, a growth mindset, okay? You will also have the opportunity to connect, ask questions, whether you are looking to start your healing journey, get some tips, get guidance on your healing journey, or to simply live your best life, this webinar is for you. So get ready and be inspired. And we're going to start with, what is trauma? Now, trauma can be defined as an experience that is overwhelming and exceeds an individual's ability to cope. And when an event is too much for us to handle, our brains respond by protecting us from harm, then and there, and future harm. Now, this can result in feeling numb, being hypervigilant, shutting down completely. It could be that someone's controlling how you speak or who you speak to or who you hang out with. It could be that you're not able to have your own opinion, or you're not able to do for yourself because you're always doing for others or a partner or a friend or coworker or a boss. We can be traumatized in all types of situations in all types of relationships. It could be that you're living in fear of disappointing others. You may experience sexual abuse or emotional abuse or psychological abuse or even medical abuse. And you could be being called out your name, being hit on, choked, being manipulated. You may be in a relationship with a narcissist, and that can be a partner, a spouse, a parent, a sibling, again, a friend, coworker. But either way, if you have experienced a traumatic event, it is likely that you are carrying around some baggage that is preventing you from living your best life. But don't sulk in it, because there is hope. And by starting this webinar and watching it today, you have begun the steps to heal from trauma, breaking the chains of trauma, and reclaim your life. Now, imagine waking up every morning and you're feeling like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. Now, the scars of past trauma lingers, and they're both invisible and visible scars. And sometimes they haunt every step, depending on where we are in our journey. And these hooks of trauma, they dig deep into us. And sometimes it may seem like it has done so deep that it's like piercing your soul and trapping you inside in a cycle of pain and suffering. I know, because I've been there. But one thing that I did learn is that it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't. And that is what we're doing today, is taking you on a brief journey of those 5 steps to break those chains, to unhook yourself. Okay? And these steps are not always easy, but they are essential for your healing journey. And together we will embrace on a path of transformation and empowerment, guiding you towards a life filled with resilience, joy, and inner peace. Now, step 1, unwanted to unstoppable. Now, before I began my healing journey, I felt very unwanted. I was in a dark, lonely place and no one really knew about it. You see, I am the strong one and always somewhat have my stuff together. Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, little did the people around me and those who checked in periodically know that I was suffering in silence. Like, car rides by myself would sometimes turn into crying sessions instead of jam sessions. And I was gasping for air in the shower because I had broken down hard, crying, body tight, and trying my best to be silent without my family hearing me cry, and wishing that I had a listening ear to go to, because I was always that for everyone else. Now, my own history of sexual, mental, physical, and emotional abuse left me feeling a certain type of hard, gut-wrenching, heart-piercing, breathtaking way, where processing and moving on was not the true way to healing. That period of my mental breakdown was the darkest, with no emotion, no feelings, and it was a place that I have never been. You know, my kids and husband was right there for me. And I know that there was plenty of times where there was like, what happened? Why is she not getting up? Why is she broken? But you see, it wasn't just one thing that triggered my complete mental breakdown. It was a lifetime of trauma, a lifetime of residue that was left from trauma that had built up. And this last incident was enough. I couldn't hold it no more. The best way that I can put it is that, you know, when you play Jenga and you have those, you have the blocks all together and tight, and you pull them out and everything. Well, each time I went through a trauma, it pulled out a block and pulled out a block and pulled out a block. And this last block that was pulled was the one that had the whole tower falling down. My kids and husband, they constantly checked on me. They constantly made sure I had something to eat and drink, and my husband, I made sure I had like the shoulder to cry on, and you know, hold me when I'm waking up in the middle of the night screaming. And it wasn't a pretty journey. And knowing that I didn't want them to continue to suffer, and I didn't want to continue to suffer because I was suffering. I was I was going days without showers, days without brushing my teeth, days without getting out the bed, only to use the bathroom. I would go without eating, go without drinking, and they would bring me food, and I'll take a couple of bites and be like, that's it. I'll take a sip of a drink and be like, that's it. I couldn't stay awake, yet I couldn't stay asleep. It was a horrible journey. But I was given the power to ask for help. I prayed and I asked for guidance and answers and knowledge for true healing, like true healing, not something that will that last, not something that can take off that residue that the trauma leaves behind. Okay, the true healing. And it can make it difficult to enjoy life and experience happiness if you don't have that true healing. And so that is why I am grateful that I have overcome and now overcome the traumas. And now I'm embracing my authentic self with purpose, passion, joy. Do I have some days that suck? Yeah, but guess what? I can pick the positives out those days, and my days not ruined. And now I can focus on the empowered transformational healing. And that's healing that embraces the essence of my soul, my strength and beauty, while enjoying the inner peace that I claim for myself. And that I'm going to teach you today to claim for yourself. Because now I love myself as God loves me. I honor and I own who I am, flaws and all. And I actually know what it feels like to be unconditionally loved, because I have that for myself. And the passion and the purpose that came with this has me unstoppable. I am unstoppable. And now you are on your journey to be unstoppable. So, one of the things that I had to do on this unwanted to unstoppable journey was to learn about and face my visible and invisible scars. What is that? That's when trauma strikes and it leaves behind both visible and invisible scars. The physical and emotional scars. The visible scars may be physical reminders of the pain that we have endured, serving as a constant reminder of trauma that we've been through. But the invisible scars, they run much deeper. They are wounds that reside within our heart, our mind, and even our soul. It impacts our thoughts, our emotions, and our overall well-being. These scars are not meant to define you, but sometimes, let's be honest, we feel as though they do, or we act or move as they do. They are not a testament to our worth or our strength. They are merely reminders of the battles you fought and conquered, and it's essential to acknowledge these scars, to honor the journey they represent, and to embrace the resilience that lies within us. Now, the hooks of trauma. Now, to break free from the chains of trauma, you must confront the hooks that keep you trapped. These hooks comes in various forms, such as fear, shame, guilt, anger, and they latch onto our minds, preventing us from moving forward. But we have the power to unhook ourselves. The hooks of trauma. I want you to remember these 5 statements. 1, it's not your identity. 2, it's not your fault. 3, it's not a life sentence. 4, it's not a contest. 5, it's not a burden you have to carry alone. Now, section 1. So it's not your identity. One of the most challenging things about trauma is that it can feel like it's a part of you. It can become your identity and you may feel like you can't escape it. However, it's crucial to understand that we are not our trauma, and it does not define us. The trauma that we experience is a part of our life, but it's not our whole story. Because we are complex individuals with unique qualities and experiences. And it is essential to remember that we are more than what has happened to us. And breaking free from the hooks of trauma starts with acknowledging that we are not our trauma. We are people. You are a person with dreams, desires, and aspirations. And once you realize this, you can start to focus on healing and moving forward. So again, it's not your identity. Now, it's not your fault either. It's common for individuals who have experienced trauma to blame themselves for what has happened, or state that they deserved it. However, it's essential to understand that it's not your fault and you do not deserve it. You did not cause the trauma and you're not responsible for what happened. Blaming yourself can lead to feelings of what was those feelings again? Shame, guilt, self-doubt. These feelings can hold us back from healing and moving forward. And it is essential to realize that we are victims and that you do not deserve what happened to you. Now, there may have been things to where we could have made better decisions because there are reactions to our actions, but that still doesn't make it an excuse to be victimized. Now, breaking free from the hooks of trauma starts with releasing yourself from blame. You need to forgive yourself and understand that you did the best you could with the knowledge that you had. So again, you did the best you could. You did the best you could at the time. And once you let go of the blame, you can start to focus on your healing and what? Moving forward. So again, it's not your fault. 3 of the hooks of trauma. It's not a life sentence. It's easy to feel like trauma is a life sentence, though. We sometimes feel like we will never be able to move past what has happened to us, and that it will always be a part of our life. However, it is essential to understand that trauma does not have control of our lives. You have the power to heal and what? Move forward. With the right tools and support, we can overcome the trauma that we've experienced. It may take time, but it's possible. And breaking free from the hooks of trauma starts with believing that we can heal. Believing that you can heal. Have hope and faith that you can overcome what has happened. And once you have this mindset, then we can start moving forward with the necessary steps that work to help us what? Heal and move forward. So it's not a life sentence. 4 of the hook of the trauma. It's not a contest. It's common for individuals who have experienced trauma to compare their experiences with others. We may feel like their trauma is not as severe as someone else's and therefore feel like they do not have the right to feel the way they do. It is essential to understand that trauma is not a contest. Every individual's experience is unique, and there is no right or wrong way to feel. And it's crucial to validate your feelings, each other's feelings, and understand that they are valid. Now, breaking free from the hooks of trauma starts with accepting your feelings and your experiences. You need to understand that your experience, again, is what? Valid. And that you have the right to feel the way you do. I want you to remember that. Your feelings are valid. Your experience is valid. And you have the right to feel the way that you do. And once you accept this, you can start to focus on healing and moving forward. So it's not a contest. 5 of the hooks of trauma. It's not a burden you have to carry alone. It's common for individuals who have experienced trauma to feel like they have to carry the burden alone. They don't want to bother family and friends, even though those same family and friends come to them. They may feel like they can't share their experiences with others, or that others will not understand, or they have to remain being the strong one. Now, it is essential to understand that you do not have to carry that burden alone. There are resources available to help you heal and move forward. It's crucial to reach out to friends, family, or a professional for support. And breaking free from the hooks of trauma starts with reaching out for that help. And you have to understand that asking for help is good. It's something to be proud of. And there is no shame in doing so. And then once you reach out for help, start receiving the support you need to heal and move forward. Now, trauma can be debilitating, but it's essential to understand that you're not your trauma. It does not define you. Start acknowledging that you are more than what has happened to you. Let go of the blame and believe you can heal and accept your feelings and experience and reach out for help. Now, deciding to heal from trauma. Deciding to heal from trauma is a huge step, and it's a brave choice. Healing from trauma is an incredibly personal and unique journey for each individual. It requires immense bravery, resilience, and self-awareness. It requires the pain you've experienced and making a commitment to yourself, a commitment to reclaim your life from trauma and the triggers from it. It involves a deep transformation of yourself, which is kind of like a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. We too can transform our pain into purpose, our fear into faith, and our trauma into triumph. Because as in Philippians 4:13, it states, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Now, this is a powerful reminder that we are not alone in our healing journey. Through faith, we can tap into the strength and resilience that Christ provides and allow us to move forward from unwanted to unstoppable. The process of healing from trauma involves acknowledging our pain, seeking help, practicing forgiveness, and maintaining a connection with God. And as we move through this journey, it is essential to remember the words in Jeremiah 30:17. For I will restore health to you, and your wounds I will heal, declares the Lord. One more time. For I will restore health to you, and your wounds I will heal, declares the Lord. So the Lord promises to heal our wounds and restore our faith, reaffirming the power of faith in the healing process. So remember, healing is not a destination. It's a lifelong process. I'll be honest. But the thing about being on this side of it is a lot different from being the other side of it, from the unwanted to the unstoppable. Be patient with yourself and others, because you're going to go through some changes and they're going to be good, and not everybody's going to like it. And it's sometimes going to be new to you, and sometimes it's going to be like, dang, where have this been? Celebrate your progress and embrace the power of self-compassion. And as you embark on this journey, know that you are not alone. You have the strength within you to break free from the chains of trauma and create a life filled with resilience, joy, and inner peace. Step 2, in breaking free from the chains of trauma. right? The 5 steps to reclaim your life. We're on step 2 now. Embrace. Now, we have discussed what it means to go from unwanted to unstoppable, which recognize trauma, what is trauma, the visible and invisible scars, the hooks of trauma, what it means to embrace vulnerabilities, why, and admitting them. Unwanted to unstoppable helps so much information that we can just say, okay, that's it. We're done for today. But guess what, y'all? I told y'all gonna be with me for a minute today because we're not done. That was just giving you a brief gist of this empowered transformational healing journey. We're just getting started because we ain't even got into the 5 steps broken down all the way. And even though we may not go all the way today and breaking down each one, you're definitely going to have some value and some tools to go along with it. And remember, you can always be going along with me in the workbook that you should have received, okay? And if you haven't received it, just send us an email, empoweredhealing@crystalj.com, and we'll get it over to you, okay? So we're going to the 5 steps of breaking free from trauma, or breaking the chains of trauma, right? The 5 steps to reclaim our lives. The 5 steps to reclaim your life. 1, recognize. 2, embrace. The breakup. Fill your cup. Authentic living. I have a question. What does it mean to embrace vulnerabilities? Right? And the way that I put it is that it's unmasking the inner power. Okay? Now, I want you to imagine standing in front of a mirror and you're peeling off a mask that you've been wearing for years. This mask represents your fears, your insecurities, and flaws. Now picture yourself viewing your reflection with all your imperfections laid bare. Scary, right? I know, but it's raw and it's real. But more importantly, it's incredibly empowering. So in a world where we're often told to hide our weaknesses and embracing vulnerability is daring. It's accepting that we're all beautifully flawed people and not invincible. It's a testament to our strength and courage because it takes a lot of bravery to expose our true selves, which is the magic of vulnerability. So picture this. Close your eyes. Got your eyes closed? You shouldn't be able to type if you got your eyes closed. Or maybe you're just that good. Now, you're at a masquerade party. Everyone that is walking in has the exact same mask as you. So you decide to take off your mask, revealing your true self. And one by one by one, others starts to follow your lead. They take off their mask. And then genuine and deeper connection starts to form. Now, why is that? You can open your eyes. The reality is, when we embrace vulnerability, we invite others to do the same. They see the power that embracing vulnerabilities has instilled. They see the originality and the uniqueness and joy and confidence and overall goodness, growth. And vulnerability is contagious in the most wonderful way. It's a catalyst for emotional healing and a pathway to connect with others on a more profound level. And it's courageous. Now, don't get me wrong, embracing vulnerability is not a walk in the park or as easy as batting your eyes. It's like signing up for a marathon without prior training. It's daunting, exhausting, and downright terrifying. Look, we're being real here, right? But just as the marathon runner experiences adrenaline rush and a sense of accomplishment at the finish line, embracing vulnerability brings about a similar exhilarating feeling of freedom and authenticity. And embracing vulnerability takes your biggest fears, your biggest disappointments, your most shameful moments, and then you start to own them. No excuses, just facts about you and only you. You start thinking about how did you feel in those moments and what did you do to contribute to getting to that place of fear and disappointment and shame. What actions did you take before, during, and after? Did you take time to process and truly heal? Did you place the full blame on someone else? Did you just ignore it? Now, I don't want y'all to get when I say, how to say this. Okay, now don't get this wrong. Some situations are 100% out of our hand. We might have known what to do at the time. We might have been taken advantage of. We may have taken action and received an alternate reaction to receiving help. But every situation is an opportunity to gain knowledge. And that knowledge is what we're going to keep to assist us in rewiring our mind and empowering this transformational healing journey. So I got a question for y'all. Now y'all answer me now, okay? Are you ready to unmask and embrace your vulnerabilities? Yes. Heck no. Not by myself. Well, guess what? That's what I'm here. I'm your guide. I'm your guide, okay? Been there. I'm your guide. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to teach you and give you the skills and the resources and walk on that journey. Okay? Now I have another question. Are y'all prepared to tap into one of the inner powers that's been within you all along? You're learning? Now remember that this healing journey is exactly that, a journey and not a destination. And every courageous step that we take brings us closer to our emotional healing and our authentic self. Yeah, you're not alone. And like I said before, y'all have a guide and you can do this. Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm loving y'all's comments. All right, we're going to go into understanding your emotions. Okay. Now, embracing vulnerabilities mean acknowledging and understanding our emotions without judgment. Ew, judgment, right? That should be a cuss word. It involves being open to experiencing a wide range of feelings and accepting them as a normal part of being a human. So it's like with self-compassion, embracing vulnerability means treating yourself with kindness and compassion. It involves acknowledging that everyone makes mistakes and experiencing setbacks. By cultivating self-compassion, you can learn to embrace your vulnerabilities and use them as opportunities for growth and self-improvement. Increased authenticity. Embracing vulnerability allows us to be our true selves without fear of judgment or rejection. It creates a space for genuine connections and fosters authentic relationships. Authentic relationships, not none of that fake mess, okay, y'all? Greater empathy. Now, we become more empathetic towards each other when we have greater empathy, when we embrace our vulnerabilities. We recognize that everyone has their struggles and imperfections, which allows us to be more compassionate and forgiving and understanding in our interactions. Here's a biggie. This one that I'm about to say now is it's a webinar on its own, okay? Overcome fear. By facing our vulnerabilities head on, we confront our fears and break free from the limitations they impose on us. It enables us to step outside our comfort zones and pursue our passions and goals with confidence. Overall, embracing vulnerabilities is personal growth. And by facing our vulnerabilities head on, we open ourselves up to growth and self-improvement. Embracing vulnerabilities challenges us to step out of our comfort zones and help us learn from those experiences that we experience. It helps with innovation and creativity, which means it allows us to take risk. And one of the things I love to do, is think outside the box. Now, by embracing the unknown and being open to failure, which is so hard to do, so hard to do. Even now, it's so hard to do. Oh my gosh. We can tap into our creative potential and discover innovative solutions to problems. Embracing vulnerabilities allows us to build resilience, bounce back from them setbacks. It helps us to develop a positive mindset, learn from failures, and adapt to challenges, which is ultimately making us stronger. So now it's time to embrace your vulnerabilities, take steps forward on your empowered transformational healing journey. And remember, you're not alone and you have me as your guide. So now, admitting your vulnerabilities. We have learned what it means to embrace vulnerabilities and why we should. So now let's discuss what admitting our vulnerabilities. Now, this is usually one of the most difficult steps. And in my program, we literally take weeks to go through this because some people, it takes longer than others. Because you're admitting your vulnerabilities. That means we're digging deep, okay? Like deep. This is when all of the benefits of being able to message me between appointments come in hand is during this one. Okay. Now, what I've found to be one of the easiest ways to admit to vulnerabilities is by using several of the therapeutic art techniques that I teach. So if you have the workbook, if you already have it printed or you just going on the screen, you'll see that you can print out the whole workbook, especially the different pages at the end. You will see that there's one that is a bridge there's a sheet that has a bridge, and on this side it says vulnerabilities, on the other side it says secure, and I pre-written some common feelings and emotions like peace, joy, authentic self, confidence, and in the middle at the bottom under the bridge it says never agains. So you're throwing those things, the never agains of the vulnerabilities that you're feeling, those things are going, oh, you're throwing over the bridge, off the bridge. They're going under the bridge, okay? Now, on this sheet, okay, to further explain it, take out you or your child's crayons and pencils, okay? That's right. They may be technically your child's, but you bought them. I know that's right. Okay, so we're going to write the words and symbols of your feelings and emotions in the appropriate areas, okay? And then use the same color. This thing don't want to stay on me today, y'all. Use the same color for vulnerabilities, a different color for secure, and another color for never again. Okay, we want a big distinction between the three. Okay, and then once you do this, you can leave your page as is with those colors, or you can fill them in. Do it however you may feel, okay? And then, of course, if y'all have questions, what are y'all supposed to do? Email me, empowerhealing@ksj.com, or if you got me on one of the socials, hit me up, okay? I'm always answering my DMs. I may not get to you the same day, but I will definitely get to you, okay? Let's see. Oh, and then also before I move on, at the end of the behind that page, there's also a list of colors and common meanings for those colors, and that will help with some of the therapeutic art techniques as well. Okay, and then feel free to make up if a color represents one thing for you, change it to what it represents to you. All right, so in admitting vulnerability can be a difficult task as it requires us to confront our fears and insecurities head on, right? We already said that. So it's an important step towards personal growth and development and developing the deeper connections that we seek, right? Because I mean, at the end of the day, we're somewhat social. Humans are social. People are social creatures. Even those of us that are like, we rather be inside and be social, like we still socialize, okay? Whether it's with family or friends or, on the computer or whatever else, right? People usually crave community. And sometimes there are some that don't, that's valid. So here are some tips, okay, to acknowledge your feelings and allow yourself to feel and express your emotions, to practice self-compassion, to take small risks and surround yourself with supportive people, right? We said those things in embracing vulnerabilities. And then they're also the same thing with admitting vulnerabilities, because it's still a risk when you go to admit your vulnerabilities, because you're admitting it, even though you're admitting it to yourself. You're not admitting it to no one else. You're not admitting it to me. You're not admitting it to nobody else. You're admitting it to yourself. That, hey, this makes me vulnerable. You're acknowledging that. So that's why I really want you to really practice that self-compassion. and surround yourself with supportive people. And when you surround yourself with supportive people, I want you to be careful with that, because, like I said, we're going to be real here. Not everybody is for you. And not everybody that we trust is for us. Okay. So you want to seek out people who are accepting and non-judgmental, who encourage you to be your authentic self. Those are the type of people that you want in your life in general. So during this process, especially when you're going through this vulnerability phase, I really suggest, having a healthy support system like a therapist or a psychiatrist, psychologist, a life coach. Your life coach and therapist may be working together. You may have a close friend who you know is truly trusting. All those different resources that you have. Really find someone that is really there for you. And overall, I want you to remember that vulnerability is a powerful tool for personal growth and development and building meaningful connections with other people. And by embracing vulnerabilities, you can unlock new levels. And y'all, when I say new levels, I mean levels that you never even thought existed. Of self-awareness, empathy, love. Y'all, I cannot keep going over like this self-love, y'all. So yeah. And then after you embrace those vulnerabilities, and guess what? It's time to break up. We didn't embrace them. We didn't admit it to them. And now we're just going to break up with them. Okay. So when we're breaking up vulnerabilities, a lot of times it's from the trauma or the residual trauma, right? So guess what? This is when we say we are done just surviving, or if it's going to start thriving. And we are done going through the motions of life and not truly living it. We are done with a life that feels empty and unfulfilled and meaningless and full of hurt. So breaking up with trauma, breaking up with vulnerabilities, breaking up with the manipulation and the sadness and the shame and the guilt and the confusion and the loss and the anxiousness and the loneliness. We're breaking up all of that. And how are we doing that? We're going to do that by leaving survival mode. And with leaving survival mode, that means we're going towards what? Thriving. And that includes, I'll say, two main things: choosing you and a healthy support system. Okay. So this part was also hard for me, y'all, because in this stage of my healing journey, when I was in the breakup stage, I broke up with anger, suffering silently, abandonment, fear, not voicing my thoughts and emotions. And during this process, I had to leave some people and some things in the past, because their season of being in the role that they played when they were in my life was over. And it sucked. Boy, it sucked. Well, not for everybody, but for some people it really, really sucked, and it really was disappointing. But I knew it was necessary, because you learn to be really honest with yourself. That's what embracing your vulnerabilities do. Help you be really honest with yourself, about yourself. And with some of the people that I left behind, I really wanted to move forward with. And to be honest, there's still a couple that I really wish was like, dang, I wish things could be really different. And maybe when they start their healing journey, we could reconnect. But at this part of where we are in our journeys and in our lives, this just wasn't the season for us to be in each other's lives. So I had to really move forward because my mental health matters and your mental health matters. And I was not allowing anyone to cross a boundary that was laid. And I will not allow anyone to cross one of my healthy boundaries because they're there for a reason. Can they be maybe maneuvered or whatever, depending on the boundary? Okay. Because I'm all for healthy relationships and communication. And sometimes with communication, we can move like a little boundary line because it might be something that we misconstrued, right? But it's all a work in progress, and so is our healing journey. And I learned that when I was in my breakup portion, my breakup season. And so when a person experiences trauma, they may enter a prolonged state of survival mode. And I was there, where they constantly on high alert and hypervigilant to potential threats, even in situations where no actual danger exists. Now, this can lead to chronic stress and exhaustion, as well as difficulties in forming and maintaining relationships. Another way of saying this is we may be living a traumatized life with confusion, loss, numbness, being ill from the abuse that we have experienced. And we are probably having, night terrors. I definitely was. Some people have fainting spells, health issues from trauma like IBS, anxiousness or anxiety, that that ranges from being mild to controlling your life. But it can all be fixed. We can heal and live life the way that you've envisioned it. You can live life with one that is of happiness and joy and purpose, success, strength, self-love, self-confidence, all of that stuff. You can thrive. And it is challenging at times. And especially when you are just going through the motions of going from unwanted to unstoppable, or embracing the vulnerabilities, or admitting the vulnerabilities, or breaking up, right? But to leave that survival mode, you need to choose you. And choosing yourself doesn't mean that you are being selfish. It means that you're making a conscious decision to leave survival mode and trauma. It means that you're showing yourself self-compassion and a willingness to make positive changes in your life. You're prioritizing filling your cup and only allowing your overflow to go to others. That means you're establishing and enforcing your healthy boundaries, which all can go deeper, right? And this can be challenging, and to put yourself first when you're not used to that, because a lot of us are used to putting others' needs before our own. But however, choosing ourselves, choosing yourself is essential for personal growth, self-care, and our overall well-being. Now we're gonna go on that healthy support system again, okay? Because we need that. Now you want to surround yourselves with people who are positive and supportive. Now, supportive does not mean that they're your yes men. Supportive means they support you, but they're going to also be honest with you. But honest with love, not honest and with pain, right? This includes being in a positive environment and letting the people that you have in your life know that you are focusing on having healthy boundaries, communication, environments, and relationships. They may want to learn more about that and how they can have that in their own life. Your support system, again, can be family, friends, therapists, a life coach, your physician, your pastor, anyone. But the important thing is that it's a healthy thing. Okay, no judgment, being honest with you, wanting the best for you. Will seek help for you if you need it. And then to leave survival mode, there's also a thing of rewire your mind. And those who have been following me for a while, yes, y'all have heard about the rewire your mind story. But rewire your mind is about rewiring our nervous systems so that our mind, brain, body can be on one accord and know the triggers for trauma that once existed will no longer activate our fight or flight response. Yeah, of course. I can break that down. So let's see. So when we're rewinding our mind, it makes a change in our neural connections with our actions and our thoughts, like changing negatives to positives, by using incantations and affirmations and meditating or tapping or learning a new skill and replacing that with a bad habit, replacing a bad habit with a new skill, and changing our thought patterns. And that can also include like exercise. Maybe like instead of I don't know, instead of drinking, you do 10 squats every time you think of a drink. I don't know. Rewiring your mind. You're going to be basically, a lot of times it's replacing negative self-talk. That is something that is very hard for some people, is that negative self-talk, and replacing that with positivity. Because then they be like, what is positive? If I think of something positive, I'm just going to think of another thing negative. Well, guess what? We're going to keep on going with the positives. Okay. So yeah. All right. So we're going to go into step 4, fill your cup. Okay. Now, the importance of self-care and establish healthy boundaries in our daily lives. It is essential to understand that we cannot pour from an empty cup, which means that we need to prioritize our well-being. And when we take care of ourselves, then we can create this overflow, right? So it's like here we go. You got a cup, and we're pouring. What was in here? Tea. We're pouring tea. And then as soon as we start doing it, starts overflowing, right? So it's all pouring down, right? So that overflow is what everyone else gets. Okay. And that overflow will enable us to serve others effectively and efficiently. The overflow helps, the overflow helps us remain fulfilled. It helps us remain happy. It helps us remain content because we're not draining our own battery, because we're keeping our cups we're filling ourselves and just they get the overflow. Okay. We're not running on empty all the time. Um, so how did we fill our cup, right? So when it came to filling my cup, I learned that I enjoyed a lot of different coping and relaxation techniques. And so those included meditation, sound baths, sometimes getting my nails done, hair done. Sometimes it's just been rest. Definitely deep breathing. Those are all have been ways that I filled up my cup. It's self-care, because self-care is an act of self-love. Okay. I'll say it again. Self-care is an act of self-love, and it's necessary for your mental, emotional, and physical health. Okay. And then again, with the healthy boundaries, with healthy boundaries, it's important and it's difficult to start setting them, especially when we haven't had any before. And then, and what's even more important, that they are clear boundaries, especially when you may be used to setting a boundary and then taking it back. So it's important to set that clear boundary and stick with it. Okay. Because a lot of times, because sometimes when we set clear boundaries, that's good, because it's also it's a way to have personal safety. And I think that I think that, a lot of you understand that, right? Yeah. And so how do you set healthy boundaries, right? So you acknowledge what you see. You address behaviors as they come. You let people know that you have a boundary and what it is. And if they're getting close to it, let them know. But, come across in a loving manner, loving tone. You don't want to sit there and be like, look, watch out because you're getting close to that boundary. You be just like, you know what? You're this is one of my boundaries and this is what it is. And, you know, what's going on right now is getting kind of close to it for me. And I'm going to have to, leave, or I'm going to have to do whatever, make it something to where it's peaceful. To let people know. And then you may have to even repeat your boundary to different people or even the same people sometimes, just so they know that that really is a boundary that they can't cross. And sometimes people really do forget, especially if it's something that is new for you. Okay. What else I mention? Oh, with self-care. Um, there's something about self-care. Okay, with self-care. Now, it's a proven fact that those of us who engage in some form of daily self-care, like morning routines and food choices, maybe exercise, or make sure we get enough sleep, having mental health support, are more often happier, more successful, and more present in life. Now, with self-care, I know I went back to self-care, y'all. I just wanted to really go in a little bit deep. I've seen a couple of questions here, and they're all relevant. So I just want to make sure I go over that self-care in a deeper sense, right? Um, because yes, self-care is more than just getting your nails done. It's getting more than just a facial, like all this stuff is nice, but it's more than that, right? um it's like when we take care of ourselves, we're sending a message that we deserve to be cared for. Okay. Um and what comes to self-care, what works for one person may not work for another person. And it's good to find out what works for you. you know um I love sound baths. Some people, if you're in your journey and just being really, you might still be too, it just may not be your thing at the moment. um Another thing that I'd like for self-care, I actually like to get acupuncture. That's one thing that, I know some people, they would never do. I know some people, for self-care, they go to chiropractor. Now that's something oh yeah, that's not for me. um and when we do self-care, we're not just pampering ourselves, we are actually promoting um for our mental to be healthy. We're promoting good emotional and physical health as well. Self-care, it reduces stress, it improves sleep, and it can boost our immune system. And so, like, there's physical self-care, right? So with physical self-care, that could be like exercise, it can be like going to the dentist or to the doctor. Um, it's just taking care of our physical health, right? Then we have social. And so I mean spending time with your friends and your family, participating in activities that you enjoy, going and volunteering. Emotional self-care. Um, it's to take care of our emotions. So that means expressing our emotions in healthy ways, asking for clarification, letting people know if they're making us feel emotionally like a certain type of way, because they may not be doing that on purpose, or acknowledging when people say that we're doing that, and work on fixing that. Right. Okay. Mental health. Oh my goodness. That's what all stuff, right? This is about mental health trauma, right? Um, our mental health. Whew. One thing about mental health, y'all, is I'm glad that um people speak freely about it now. They speak more freely. It can be better, and it's going to be better if we all continue to do our part, right? So mental health self-care. So you're taking care of your mental, right? So this can include things like going to therapy, medication, having coping mechanisms. Um, you may have, life coach that, helps you like arrange things. Um, that goes as a that's someone who helps you stay on track as a guide, right? Um, then we have spiritual self-care. And y'all love my spiritual self-care. And we get to connect with our spiritual selves. So this can include practices such as meditation, prayer, journaling, spending time in nature, um, talking to God or whatever your higher power, your higher power may be, right? It's connecting with our spirituality and feeling more centered and peace with ourselves and the world around us, right? So a couple of tips for self-care. Let's see. Um, Definitely get enough sleep. They say 8+ hours helps. That improves your mood and increase energy levels. That one, I'm like, because sometimes I sleep too much and I don't have the energy. Um, Getting sleep definitely reduces stress. Yes, eating healthy. That helps improve your mood, because who else gets hangry, y'all? I'm the queen. Okay. um Exercise again, reduces stress, improves your overall health. Taking breaks, like I said earlier, somebody just need a break. You just need a day to just rejuvenate, relax, take a hot bath, read a book, go for a walk outdoors, go for a hike, and then of course, seek professional help from a doctor, a therapist, um, life coach, and just seek help, professional help. So yeah. Um, oh, I know another thing that I want to do. I know we talked about healthy boundaries. Sorry, y'all, I'm bouncing around a little bit. Um, but um understanding toxic energy, right? So this goes with healthy boundaries, and a lot of times we've dealt with trauma, and with trauma that came with the toxic energy. Okay. And toxic energy a lot of times is unhealed energy. And a toxic person is often an unhealed person. And overall, as human beings, we transmit whatever energy we're operating from. And so people may be going through toxic experiencing or spending a lot of time with people who are toxic, and therefore they're picking up that toxic energy and then releasing it themselves, right? So it's important that we recognize toxic energy, and that when we realize that we're moving from that place, that we detach from it. Okay. And that may be through, like, for me, one thing that I used to do is kickboxing. Love kickboxing. Okay. Definitely call out the behavior. Detach yourself from that person. So that may be, if you're at work, and maybe if you can switch desk or whatever else, you're not around that person no more. Or if it's a partner, see what you can do to help them to, talk to them so they can seek the help that they need to get rid of that toxic energy, that unhealed energy. Set boundaries, again, for yourself, the others, and definitely, if there's toxicity, you want to, especially if you're talking to a toxic person, you want to watch the way that we communicate. Okay. Some ways that we can detach from toxic energy is to tell people how we feel. So you may be like, you might tell them that you understand the way that you hear that they feel, a certain way. And then you can be like, and I feel this kind of way. And when you say blah, blah, or when this happens and this is what happens, and you explain what happens, and you just be like, and I don't want to be around that situation. So at this time, I feel like it's best for us to, go our separate ways. Another way to deal with that is if someone is, not being truthful, or they're just, lying or whatever, and you have facts, share it with them. Because sometimes people genuinely believe what they're saying and may not realize the error. Okay. Um, Another thing is, like, if it's about an object or wanting something, you can say, I get that you want this. When you tell me block what happened because that is how you want it, then I will detach that behavior from you. Another one, man, I so wanted to tell someone one time, but I decided that it was more peaceful to walk away because it wasn't a situation that, I was going to continue the relationship with anyway. But it was, I recognize this energy is not yours, and no, you want to be supportive and listen to others. But at this time, that is not what you're letting off. Okay. But one thing about going through changes is that we got to also remember that other people can make changes too. They just got to be committed to do so, just like we are, or you are, right? And then number 5, breaking free from the chains of trauma. Number 5 is living as your authentic self. Now, embracing your authentic self is definitely one of the best things that you can do. It's definitely the best thing that I've done, is embrace my authentic self. And once I took the time to sort out the values, belief, vision, my purpose, the habits, good habits, bad habits that I felt was holding me, and I got rid of that, there was nothing holding me back from healing. And then once I started healing, I was able to start celebrating, and my confidence built, and my love built, and my awareness built, and my empathy built. I grew spiritually. And that led me to being the best me to me, the best me to my kids, to my family, to everyone. Okay. And living as my authentic self is when, Crystal J was born, because there's nothing like that. And I knew that other people had to feel it. You have to experience it. So authenticity is about being true to who you are. It is important to reflect on your values and beliefs to determine what truly matters to you. And then once you have a better understanding of yourself, you can align your actions and decisions with your authentic self. And this will lead to a more fulfilling and satisfying life, y'all. I promise it does. Now, this journey is not always easy. I'm going to be honest with that. It's not always easy, but the rewards of living authentically, there's no price that you can put to that. And that's what gets me going and moving every day, is me being able to live authentically and show up as myself. Because if I had to show up as, what I was recommended to do, to wear all this makeup and get glammed and dressy and everything else, that's not me showing up authentically. And so I wouldn't even be recording this webinar, because that's not authentically who I am. So I'm not going to feel like myself, and I'm not going to do it. But since I can show up as myself, and then I am more prone to doing these videos and doing these webinars and interacting with y'all, because I don't have to worry about what anybody's thinking, because I know that no matter what, I'm showing up as myself. So some of you might love me, some of you may like me, some of you may think I'm crazy, and some of you just be like, you know what, I'm just here. Okay. And that's all fine. But along the process, I'm my authentic self, and this is the best way that you can live, is as authentically as yourself, because it's priceless. Now, when you're living authentically as yourself, you examine your passions and your interests and your strengths, and you also think about how you contribute to the world. And this right here is my contribution, okay? It is important to remember that discovering who you are, discovering your authentic self is continuous. And it requires self-reflection. It requires self-reflection. Self-reflection with honesty. Okay. When you're living authentic, you determine your vision, which means that you get to figure out what your long-term goals and aspirations for yourself are. Okay. It involves identifying what you want to achieve, what kind of impact you want to make, and the direction you want to move towards. It's a clear vision. It's setting a clear vision. Yes. That, will provide you with guidance and motivation, right? And then you'll keep making decisions based off of those goals that you want to achieve, right? It also helps with communication because you know what you're working towards. You speak more confidently. You feel that you have the purpose, right? A couple of ways to help you to start to discern your vision is, again, self-reflection. Consider what is important to you and what you want to achieve in life. What are your strengths? What are your passions? What's your weaknesses? What do you know you don't want in your life? What are you good at? And you want to ask all those questions, right? Oh, that's a good one. What change do you want to make? Yep, that is one that, people say a lot. Where do you want to be in, like, the 5, 10, or 20 years? Yep, y'all have a lot of different good examples. Yeah, and then by answering these questions, you can begin to develop a clear vision of your future. But remember that your vision should be your vision. It should be inspiring and motivating to you. And it should help you. Once you have that vision, it will help you with other decisions, and you'll get to know your actions or figure out your actions moving forward. Mm-hmm. And then finding your purpose in life, we already said it requires that self-reflection, self-exploration, understanding yourself, right? Let's cover a few ways to find your purpose, right? We already said to self-reflect. So that means, consider what activities and topics you enjoy the most. We already said, other questions about self-reflection just a few minutes ago, maybe not even a few minutes ago. You definitely want to evaluate your skills and your strength. You can seek inspiration for others. So you might have a role model or a mentor, or you may have different things that you have liked and that you've seen and that you want to implement. And that's all good and dandy. Experiment with different things. Try various experiences and opportunities to learn more about yourself. You may, I don't know, you may hike and then realize, oh, I don't really like this, I don't know. But try different things. You might go bowling, skating. You may try to start baking or cooking different things, Um, but overall, when it comes to living as your authentic self, It's about being you. It's about embracing your vulnerabilities. It's about, admitting when you're at fault. It's about um, being honest with yourself. It's about wanting to change and be that better person that you not even be the person that you want to be. It's being courage, it's being courageous, it's being it's being confident, it's being self-loving, it's being empathetic towards yourself and others, right? And so what I want y'all to remember, especially in this webinar, is that you can go from unwanted to unstoppable. Okay. And to do so, you are doing that by breaking the chains of trauma and using the 5 steps to reclaim your life. Right? And so that's recognizing trauma, embracing and admitting your vulnerabilities, breaking up with trauma in those vulnerabilities. It means filling your cup and everyone else gets your overflow. And then it is living authentically as yourself. Don't feel ashamed to throw out whatever habits or likes or values or anything else that you got from someone else if it doesn't fit you. And it's fine to pile other things on. And as always, I want y'all to believe in all that you are and know that there's this power inside of you that is greater than any obstacle. And by using that power is how, again, you do those 5 things. And you go from that unwanted to unstoppable. And as always, yes, my email is now in the chat. And I've said it several times during this webinar. It's empoweredhealing@𝐒𝐭𝐞𝐫.com. Feel free to reach me. Okay, those who said they can't see the chat, it is 𝐸MPOWEREDHEALING at 𝐾RYSTALJAE.com. That's my email address. Y'all can also send me DMs if you follow me on social media. I also go and I'll answer those. It may not be the same day, but definitely it usually don't take me no longer than 24 hours to try to stay on top of them. I try my best, okay? Unless it's just a really busy day and then it's 48 hours, okay? But you could definitely get an answer. I try my best to answer back to everybody. So you can definitely send me a message on Facebook. My profile on Facebook is at @CrystalJ21. Don't forget to tune in to the Empowered Transformational Healing Podcast with Crystal J. That is on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, and all the other podcast sites, of course. And then if you are on your journey to breaking free from the chains of trauma, and you now have these 5 steps to reclaim your life, right? One, recognize what trauma is. So recognizing your trauma, embracing and admitting vulnerabilities, breaking up with trauma and vulnerabilities, filling your cup, and others get your overflow, and then living authentically as yourself, right? Those are your 5. So of course we can go deeper, because there's been times that we broke it down into, you know, each one of those steps was a day long. But we go over those also in the Break Free from Trauma program that is 6 months long. And it's 6 months long because we go in full depth, right? And in that 6 months, you really get to discover who you are. You get to go from the unwanted to the unstoppable. You get to have the guidance. To push you forward, to help you get to where you want to be, or at least headed in that direction, right? And so if you want to have more information on the Break Free from Trauma program, again, you can also reach me on the socials and also on the Power Healing at 𝐂𝐿𝐽.com. And just simply say, you can just simply say break free. And I will know what you're talking about. And we can definitely just get on a call and just chat about it and learn a little bit more about the program itself and if it's for you. Okay. And so so like I said, just email me to apply. You can say break free, apply, so that way we can make sure that that program is right. Because I won't just put just anybody in that program, because that program, you really have to be ready to be all in for yourself, all in to discover who you are, all in to recognize, the traumas and embracing the vulnerabilities and admitting to them and breaking up with them and filling your cup and allowing your overflow and authentic living and taking in these steps and making these steps for you to move forward in life. Breaking the bad habits and helping you establish good habits. It may be establishing a healthy routine for you, or whatever it may be. So, yeah, so everyone, I just want to say thank you for spending this last couple of hours with me on the Breaking Free from the Chains of Trauma, the 5 steps to reclaim your life. And I'll speak to y'all soon. Bye.